Hey everyone, I'm back again with another record pickup video. Ever since the last video I've purchased a better camera and I'm trying to utilize it the best I can. I'm going to use these pickup videos to experiment with my camera until I can get all the settings all figured out. I haven't bought too many albums over the past couple of months and have been trying to cut back to save up money for my camera equipment, but I will continue to make more of these videos once I have enough records to show in a video. My classes and work have been taking up most of my time and I haven't had any time to sit down and listen to many records, so forgive me for not being able to talk more about some of these albums and not having much to say. Starting off, I bought the debut album from Sade. This is Diamond Life on vinyl. I found this at my local record store at a decent price and couldn't pass on it. My greatest memory of this album is last year there was a perfect snowfall and I was on my way home from class. The roads weren't bad or anything and the album just fit the mood and created the perfect vibe. There's so many great tracks off this album and it sounds so much better on my turntable than my shitty car aux. Just good ass smooth jazz. I highly recommend it. Following up the previous album I showed, I also picked up Sade Promise. This is her second album if I remember right. Also, there's a note hidden in this one that I found hilarious. I didn't know Merlin from Brockhampton owned this at one point, and his wife is probably distraught that he didn't keep it. I've been trying to get into more Sade when the mood is right. I'm going to assume this album is more the same as the previous in terms of genre, and I promise I will try my hardest to listen to it before the seasons change and that vibe I caught with the first one is gone. Next up, I picked up Gloria, Gaynor, Love Tracks. I don't know much about this artist and I honestly picked this up based off that one single on here, I Will Survive. It's one of those songs that everyone has heard at least once in their life somewhere. I think it wasn't on an episode of That 70s Show, but I could just be talking out my ass. I saw it for $3 and I couldn't pass on it for that price, and when I have a chance to sit down and listen to it, I hope to find more bangers on it. I picked this one up at the same time as the previous album I showed. This is the Pointer Sisters album, Energy. I'm not too familiar with the songs in this album, but I mentioned in my last record pickup video that I picked up 2 of their other albums and I wanted to add this one to the collection. The only track I'm familiar with is Dirty Work, which is actually a Steely Dan cover. I find it odd of all people the Pointer Sisters were itching to cover a Steely Dan song, but it works and it's a great cover. I'm so glad I finally picked up a copy of The Go-Go's Talk Show. This is probably my second favorite album from them and I highly recommend it if you like 80s new wave or pop music from that era. Head Over Heels was probably the most popular track off this album and that song goes dummy hard. Other songs like Yes or No, Mercenary, and Turn to You are all great tracks and the whole album is pretty solid all the way through. So glad to have it on vinyl. Next up, I picked up the second album from The Time, What Time Is It? I'm really excited to have this album in my collection. For those of you that don't know, The Time is a funk/R&B band that was very closely related to Prince's inner circle around the 80s, and the band is prominently featured in Purple Rain and Graffiti Bridge. I own a vinyl copy of their album after this, Ice Cream Castle, which came out after Purple Rain, but this one kind of predates the Purple Rain movie, which makes me more excited to listen to it since I'm not familiar with the songs on it at all. I can't wait to give this one a spin. I am so goddamn happy to have Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell on vinyl. This is probably one of my favorite albums of all time and by far my favorite from both Meatloaf and Jim Steinman. It skips a little, which makes me very sad, but I need to get a better record brush and cleaner, which I'm hoping will alleviate this issue a bit. There are so many amazing tracks off this album. It is a practically flawless album and even the front artwork is a masterpiece too. You're going to notice a theme with the next couple of records coming up because I'm working on a video talking about the discography of Jim Steinman. I'm not sure when it's going to be done or if I'm going to be able to pull it off, but I wanted to buy more albums Steinman is credited on to showcase in the video. Continuing that trend, we have an album from the Sisters of Mercy, Vision Thing. I am 100% not familiar with this band or any of the songs off this album at all, but Steinman did produce/co-write a track on here, so I wanted to get it just in case I needed it for the video. It was $1 in the bargain bin, and it's not in the script of the video at this point, but I'm glad I got it for the collection and would like to give it a chance at some point. Next up, we got Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell 3, The Monster Is Loose. I should probably clarify that Jim Steinman's discography correlates a lot with Meatloaf's, specifically anything that has Bat Out of Hell plastered on it. Jim Steinman is a songwriter that collaborated a lot with Meatloaf with great success, hence why the next couple of albums are going to be all Meatloaf until I can get my hands on the other albums of other artists he has worked with. Next up, we have Meatloaf's VH1 Storytellers live performance. As I was filming this, I'd realized that the front booklet is actually signed by Meatloaf, or at least closely matches what pictures of his signature I've seen online. I bought this for $3 at a record store, so it probably isn't worth jack or shit, but it's a neat bonus nonetheless. I really didn't need this one for the video either, I just wanted it for research purposes since in between songs, Meatloaf gives some insight and tells stories about Steinman. It's a weird hybrid of acoustic and a full band that works well for the songs they're performing and is an interesting take on them. It is a very good live performance and Meatloaf's story interludes in between between songs are a pleasure to listen to, and he's super entertaining throughout, which makes it an enjoyable listen all the way through. God damn, this artwork is so fucking beautiful. Or at least that is what I would say if I was showing you my copy of Meatloaf's Greatest Hits. This is a 2-disc compilation that came out in the late 90s and was a great value for the time. There's more than just Bat Out of Hell 1 and 2 on here, and even 3 bonus tracks exclusive to this compilation, which is the exact reason why I bought it. On a side note, I love the multiple different ways that companies came up with to include more than one disc in a jewel case in the 90s. I don't know why that amuses me, but at least in this case it's better than those bulky 2-disc cases that PS1 games came in. I swear to God this is the last time I will say Meat and Loaf in unison in this video, but I bought Meatloaf Bat Out of Hell 2 and I'm super glad I did. This album is amazing and holds up super well today, and while I don't think it tops Bat Out of Hell 1, it comes pretty damn close and I highly recommend it. Moving on, I also picked up another Steely Dan album. This one is Katie Lied, and I'm slowly building my Steely Dan collection one by one. Looking back, I probably should have paired this one with the Sade albums I showed earlier, since I feel a similar way about how they create a mood every time I listen to them. I really do love the packaging on this one. The artwork is gorgeous, and I love how it comes in a cardstock sleeve than the typical shitty paper ones records usually come in. I am unfamiliar with Katie Lied, and I hope to listen to it a bit more. A couple of decent songs I heard off it already are Bad Sneakers and Chain Lightning. I'm catching a similar vibe to Can't Buy a Thrill off this album, and now that I own it on vinyl, I hope to listen to it much more while I work. The last album was released in 1975, and this album is actually from the 1975. This is the second album from the 1975. I Like It When You Sleep, for You're So Beautiful Yet So Unaware of It. I don't want to admit how much I paid for this, but this is the only album I was missing to complete my 1975 vinyl collection. What else can I say about the 1975? They are one of my all-time favorite bands. I mentioned in the last record pickup video that I don't have a particular favorite 1975 album, but if you were to start listening to them, I would highly recommend this one as it's the most accessible. It is more pop driven than their other albums. The packaging on this one is great. I love how the gatefold opens to show all the individual photos the band has taken for each of the songs. I would have preferred it if the records didn't have such a vice grip on the record, but that's just me nitpicking. I would have preferred to get this one cheaper, but in the end I'm just glad to put this one on the shelf with all the others. Moving on, I recently picked up Emerson, Lake and Palmer's second album, Tarkus. My reasoning behind picking this one up is rather odd. I was trying to watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Season 1, and there's a villain named Tarkus after the album, and it hit me like, damn, I never really did pick that one up on vinyl, did I? I'm glad I finally got this one for a decent price. I am absolutely in love with the artwork, and the artwork inside the gatefold is just as beautiful. I always adore me some good 70s prog rock album art. I really loved the band's self-titled debut, and was one of the first records I ever bought, so I'm excited to continue their discography in my collection with this one. I listened to some of those songs before filming this video, and the tracks that really stuck out to me were Jeremy Bender, Bitches Crystal, and Are You Ready Eddie. This album seems like it's more rock driven than their previous album, which had a more orchestrated prog sound that I loved, but I'm looking forward to giving it more listens nonetheless. For the last album in this video, I picked up, to absolutely no one's surprise, another Jethro Tull record. I wasn't expecting to stumble across this one at my local record store, but when I saw it I couldn't pass it up. I am pretty much set as far as studio albums go on vinyl for Jethro Tull's discography, but I haven't really tapped into owning their live albums. This is a live recording of their Isle of Wight performance in 1970. This live album is notable because it is a turning point where Jethro Tull would transition from the blues rock sound to a much more hard rock / prog sound. It is more interesting that this album predates their most successful album Aqualung, and even features a couple of songs performed here before that album's release. The packaging has a really nice quality, and I admire the quality the band has put forth on their re-releases. This is a fantastic live performance, and I'm really ecstatic to own this one on vinyl. I applaud you if you made it this far in the video and found some enjoyment out of me talking about stupid 70s dad rock pressed on wax. Thank you so much for watching, and if I ever make another video like this, I promise that I will actually take time to listen to all the albums. Things have been hectic lately and I haven't had the chance to sit down and listen to everything. I apologize if my commentary is a bit bland on that part, but I hope you enjoyed the video and have an amazing day.